Personal Finance for Dummies, 9th edition, by Eric Tyson. Let me tell you about Helen. She was a sales rep, a mother of two, and by all accounts, a genuinely good person. But Helen was carrying around a secret that was crushing her, day after day. She was drowning, not in water, but in something just as suffocating: debt. Her credit card balances had climbed so high, they matched her entire year's salary. The phone never stopped ringing. Collection agencies tracked her down at home, at work. The shame was relentless. It had started innocently enough. A car repair here, school clothes for the kids there. But those vicious interest rates were like a slow-acting poison, transforming modest purchases into an absolute monster. Things got so desperate that one month, she actually had to take a cash advance on one credit card just to cover rent and groceries. She was completely trapped. When she finally worked up the courage to call one of her credit card companies and asked if they could lower her monthly payment, the representative was ice cold. "Would you rather I just declare bankruptcy?" Helen asked, her voice shaking. The answer came back without a second's pause: yes. Helen's story isn't unusual. It's playing out in millions of homes right now, in millions of lives. It's the story of feeling completely lost in a world that never bothered to teach you how money actually works. Our schools drill us on algebra and the French Revolution, but nobody teaches us how to build a budget, invest for the future, or spot the difference between a smart financial move and a trap waiting to spring. We're expected to figure it out ourselves, and the world is packed with people who are more than happy to profit from our confusion. But what if there was a roadmap, a clear, straightforward guide that could cut through all the chaos and show you the way to financial peace? That's exactly what we're exploring today. Personal Finance for Dummies, by Eric Tyson. Now, don't let the title throw you off. This isn't a book for people who aren't smart. It's a book for smart people who just haven't been taught the rules of the game. With over 2 million copies sold, it's become a trusted companion for people at every income level, from every background imaginable. Eric Tyson isn't some Wall Street hotshot shouting from a penthouse. He's a former financial counselor, someone who has actually sat across the table from real people, like Helen, and helped them find their way back to solid ground. He wrote this book with one simple, powerful belief: that you are the best person to manage your own money. You just need the right tools. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share those tools with you. We're going to distill the timeless wisdom from this book into one flowing story. By the end of our time together, you won't just understand personal finance. You'll have a completely new way of thinking about money. You'll have a clear, practical plan to take control of your financial future, starting today. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about building a life of freedom, security, and genuine peace of mind. So let's dive in. The journey to financial well-being doesn't start with a hot stock tip or some secret formula for getting rich overnight. It starts somewhere much closer to home. It starts inside your own head. You see, most of us learn about money not in a classroom but at the kitchen table. We learn by watching our parents. Maybe money was a forbidden topic in your house, only whispered about when bills were piling up. Maybe you heard fights about it, and you grew up associating money with stress and tension. Or maybe your parents were wonderful, loving people who, with the absolute best intentions, passed along their own bad habits, like shopping to feel better after a rough day, or chasing get-rich-quick schemes that never quite worked out. These early lessons become the invisible scripts running our lives. If your parents were super frugal, maybe you rebelled by spending every dollar that hits your account, trying to make up for what you felt you missed out on. If they were big spenders, you might find yourself doing exactly the same thing, trying to keep up with friends or neighbors, even when it means sliding into debt. The first step, the author tells us, is simply recognizing this pattern, understanding that your relationship with money is a story, and you have the power to write a new chapter. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about acknowledging where you've come from so you can consciously decide where you want to go. The world we live in certainly isn't making it any easier. We're bombarded constantly by messages telling us to spend. We're called consumers, not citizens. We're shown images of happiness, that always seem to involve a new car, an exotic vacation, or a bigger house. And with credit cards, cash machines, and payment apps everywhere, spending money has never been easier. It's a dangerous illusion. Lenders aren't giving away money. They're selling debt, and the interest you pay on that debt is literally the price of delaying your own dreams. So how do you break free? How do you start writing your own financial story? It begins with a simple but courageous act, taking a financial physical. Just like you'd go to a doctor for a checkup to understand your health, a financial physical is about taking an honest look at where you stand right now. This isn't about judgment or beating yourself up. It's about empowerment. It's about gathering the facts so you can make smart decisions moving forward. There are two key numbers you need to know. The first is your financial net worth. Don't let the term intimidate you. It's incredibly straightforward. Your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. First, you add up your financial assets. These are things that have real monetary value. This includes the cash in your bank accounts, the value of any investments you have like stocks or mutual funds, and the money in your retirement accounts. For this exercise, the author suggests we don't count things like our cars or clothes, because you can't really live off them unless you sell them. And we're building a foundation to live on, not to liquidate. Next, you subtract your financial liabilities. These are your debts. This includes any student loans, car loans, and most importantly, any outstanding credit card balances. The number you're left with is your net worth. For a young person just starting out, this number might be small or even negative, especially if you have student loans. That's okay. That's perfectly normal. The goal isn't to have a massive net worth overnight. The goal is to know your starting point and to make that number grow little by little over time. Watching that number move from negative to positive and then continue climbing is honestly one of the most motivating experiences you can have on this journey. If you're in your 30s or older and that number is negative, it's not a reason for despair. It's a wake-up call, a clear signal that it's time to take action. The second critical number in your financial physical is your credit score. You might not think about it much, but this 3-digit number has an enormous impact on your life. Lenders use it to decide whether to give you a loan, and crucially, what interest rate to charge you. A high credit score can save you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime through lower interest rates on mortgages, car loans, and more. A low score can cost you a fortune. The most common score is the FICO score, which ranges from 300 to 850. The higher, the better. Anything in the mid-700s or above will generally get you the best rates. Your score is based on the information in your credit report, which tracks your history of borrowing and repaying money. And here's something incredibly important. You are entitled by law to get a free copy of your credit report from each of the 3 major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, every single year. You can do this at a website called annualcreditreport.com. It's vital that you do this, not just to know your score, but to check for errors. Mistakes on credit reports are surprisingly common, and an error you didn't even know about could be costing you money. Correcting these errors is your right, and it's a crucial step in taking control. Now, once you have these numbers, your net worth and your credit score, you can begin to understand the difference between 2 very different kinds of debt. This is one of the most important lessons in the entire book. The author calls them good debt and bad debt. Bad debt is what you use for consumption. It's borrowing money for things that lose value over time. Think about financing a vacation, new clothes, or a fancy car. These things might bring you temporary pleasure, but they don't build your long-term wealth. In fact, they do the opposite. The high interest rates on credit cards and consumer loans act like a tax on your future. Every dollar you spend on interest is a dollar you can't save or invest. The author is crystal clear on this. You should never, ever buy consumer items on credit that you can't pay off in full at the end of the month. He defines a, quote, bad debt danger ratio. If your total consumer debt is more than 25% of your annual income, you are in a financial danger zone. The financially healthy amount of bad debt is 0. Good debt, on the other hand, is an investment in your future. It's borrowing money for things that are likely to increase in value or boost your earning potential. What are some examples? A mortgage to buy a home, a loan to start a business, or a student loan to get an education. These things aren't just expenses. They're assets that can grow and pay you back over time. Good debt is a tool, and when used wisely, it can help you build wealth much faster than you could on your own. This distinction is the key. Are you using debt to fuel consumption that drains your future, or are you using it as leverage to build a wealthier future? To truly take control, however, you need to know more than just your net worth and your debts. You need to know where your money is actually going, day in and day out. This brings us to the next crucial step, analyzing your spending. Most people have absolutely no idea where their money goes. They get their paycheck, they pay their bills, they buy things, and at the end of the month, they wonder where it all vanished to. The author points out a simple truth. You can't control what you don't measure. So, for a month or two, you become a detective. Your mission is to track every single dollar. This isn't about creating a restrictive, painful budget that you'll abandon in a week. This is about gathering information. It's an act of awareness. You can do this the old-school way, with a simple notebook, or you can use one of the many apps and software programs available today. The book recommends an app called Good Budget, which uses the classic envelope system, where you allocate your spending into different categories. But the tool doesn't matter as much as the habit. For 1 month, write everything down. The $4 for your morning coffee, the $15 for lunch, the online purchase you barely remember making, everything. At the end of the month, you'll have a map of your financial life. And for many people, it's absolutely eye-opening. You might be genuinely shocked to see how much you're spending on eating out, or on subscriptions you don't even use anymore. This isn't a moment for guilt. It's a moment of opportunity. Because now, you can see the fat. You can see the areas where your spending isn't aligned with your values. You can see where you can make small changes that will free up a surprising amount of cash. This is where the magic begins. You're not just cutting costs. You're redirecting your money from things that don't matter to things that do. And what are those things? This leads us to the heart of the journey, establishing and achieving your goals. Money, by itself, is meaningless. It's just paper and numbers. Its only real value is what it allows you to do. It's a tool to build the life you want. But if you don't know what that life looks like, you'll just be drifting. You'll spend your money without purpose. The author encourages us to step back and ask a profound question. What is your own definition of wealth? Is it a number in a bank account? Or is it something more? Is it the freedom to quit a job you hate? The ability to travel and see the world? The security of knowing you can take care of your family? The peace of mind that comes from being debt-free? True wealth isn't just about having money. It's about having a life rich with meaning, relationships, and experiences, and your financial goals should be a reflection of that. So you sit down and you dream a little. What are your most important goals? The book outlines some of the most common ones. First, building an emergency reserve. This is non-negotiable. This is your financial safety net. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down. People get sick. Jobs are lost. An emergency fund is what keeps a surprise from turning into a disaster. The rule of thumb is to have at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses saved in a safe, easily accessible place, like a money market fund. This is your foundation. Before you do anything else, you build this. Next, maybe your goal is to buy a home. For most people, owning a home is a cornerstone of the American dream, and over the long run, it's one of the most effective ways to build wealth. Or perhaps you want to save for your children's education. A noble goal, but the author gives a crucial piece of advice here. Take care of your own future first. You can borrow for college, but you can't borrow for retirement. It sounds selfish, but it's not. The greatest gift you can give your children is your own financial independence, so you don't become a burden to them in your later years. And that brings us to the biggest goal for most people, retirement. or as the author prefers to call it, financial independence. This isn't about sitting on a rocking chair doing nothing. It's about reaching a point where work becomes a choice, not a necessity. It's about having enough assets to support your lifestyle without needing a paycheck. So, how much do you need? There are complex calculators out there, but the book offers a simple starting point. Most people need about 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income to maintain their standard of living in retirement. Why less? Because some expenses go away. You're no longer saving for retirement, you might have your mortgage paid off, and you're not paying payroll taxes. You then look at what you can expect from sources like Social Security and any pensions you might have. The gap between what those will provide and what you'll need is what your personal savings and investments have to cover. The book provides simple worksheets to estimate this, but the core message is this: the sooner you start saving, the easier it will be. The power of compounding, where your investment earnings start earning their own earnings, is the closest thing we have to magic in the financial world. Saving just a small amount in your 20s can grow to be worth far more than saving a much larger amount in your 40s. And the best way to save for retirement is through tax-advantaged accounts. This is a crucial concept. The government wants you to save for retirement, so they give you a huge incentive, a tax break. When you contribute to accounts like a 401k at work or a traditional IRA, you often get to deduct that contribution from your income, which lowers your tax bill for the year. Then, all the money inside that account, all the growth, all the dividends, all the interest, grows completely tax-deferred for decades. You only pay taxes when you withdraw the money in retirement. This is like putting your money in a greenhouse, protected from the taxman, allowing it to grow much, much faster than it could otherwise. If your employer offers a 401k plan, especially one where they match a portion of your contribution, that is free money. It is the best investment return you will ever find, guaranteed. You should contribute at least enough to get the full employer match. To not do so is like turning down a pay raise. So now you have a plan. You know where you stand, you know where your money is going, and you know what you're saving for. You've built your emergency fund, and you're starting to put money into your retirement accounts. Now comes the exciting part. The part where you stop just saving money, and you start making your money work for you. This is the world of investing. The author demystifies this world by breaking it down into two fundamental choices. When you invest, you can either be a lender or an owner. That's it. When you're a lender, you are loaning your money to someone else, a bank, a corporation, or the government, in exchange for interest. Think of a savings account, a certificate of deposit, or a bond. Your return is predictable, and it's generally safe. The best you can hope for is to get your original money back, plus the promised interest. The biggest risk for a lender isn't necessarily losing your money, it's inflation. It's the risk that the fixed interest rate you're earning won't be enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. Over time, your money can actually lose purchasing power. When you're an owner, you are buying a small piece of a business or a piece of property. Think of stocks or real estate. Your return isn't fixed. It depends on the success of the underlying asset. If the company you invested in grows and becomes more profitable, the value of your ownership stake, your stock, can grow dramatically. The potential for reward is much higher than with lending, but so is the risk. If the company fails, your ownership stake could become worthless. The key to building long-term wealth is to be an owner. Lending is for safety and for short-term goals. Ownership is for growth. But how do you become an owner without taking on too much risk? The answer is a word you've heard before, but its power is often underestimated: diversification. It's the old wisdom of not putting all your eggs in one basket. You don't just buy one stock or one piece of real estate. You spread your money across many different ownership investments. But for most people, buying dozens of individual stocks is impractical. It takes a huge amount of time, research, and expertise. And this is where the author introduces what he calls one of the best inventions of the modern financial world: the mutual fund and its close cousin, the exchange-traded fund, or ETF. A mutual fund is simply a company that pools money from thousands of investors and uses it to buy a diversified portfolio of stocks or bonds. When you buy one share of a mutual fund, you are instantly becoming a part owner of hundreds or even thousands of different companies. It's instant diversification. You get a professional manager making the decisions for you, all for a very low cost. An ETF is very similar, but it trades on a stock exchange like an individual stock. The author is a huge proponent of a specific type of fund called an index fund. An index fund doesn't try to be clever. It doesn't have a star manager trying to pick the best stocks. Instead, it simply aims to match the performance of a broad market index, like the S&P 500, which is a collection of 500 of the largest U.S. companies. Why would you want to just match the average? Because, over the long run, the vast majority of professional money managers who are actively trying to beat the market fail to do so. Why? Because of costs. Their high fees and trading costs create a drag on their performance that is very difficult to overcome. Index funds, because they are passively managed, have incredibly low costs. They are a simple, cheap, and proven way to capture the long-term growth of the market. It might be boring, but as the author reminds us, successful investing should be boring. The excitement should come from watching your wealth grow over time, not from the daily roller coaster of the market. So, your long-term investment strategy becomes beautifully simple. You allocate your money between stocks and bonds based on your age and your tolerance for risk. A good rule of thumb is to take 110 minus your age, and that's the percentage of your long-term money you should consider having in stock funds. The rest goes into bond funds. So if you're 30, you might have 80% in stocks and 20% in bonds. As you get older, you gradually shift more towards the safety of bonds. You invest consistently, month after month, through your retirement accounts. You ignore the scary headlines and the market gurus on TV who claim they can predict the future. No one can. You focus on what you can control, your savings rate, your costs, and your discipline. You let the power of ownership and the magic of compounding do the heavy lifting for you. This is the path to building wealth. It's not a secret, it's not complicated. It's about discipline, patience, and a belief in the long-term growth of the economy. But building wealth is only half the equation. You also have to protect it. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle: insurance. Most people find insurance confusing and, frankly, a bit depressing. It forces us to think about things we'd rather not: accidents, illness, death. But as the author says, the whole point of insurance is to protect you from a financial catastrophe. It's about handling the big risks, so you don't have to sweat the small stuff. He gives us 3 simple laws for buying insurance. Law number 1, insure for the big stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. You don't need insurance for a lost contact lens or a broken cell phone. These are annoyances, not catastrophes. Paying for these small losses out of pocket is far cheaper in the long run than paying premiums for policies that cover them. Insurance is for the things that could wipe you out financially. What are those big risks? Your ability to earn an income. If you have people who depend on your paycheck, you need life insurance. If you yourself depend on your paycheck, you need disability insurance. These protect your most valuable asset, your future earnings, your health. A major illness or accident can lead to medical bills in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Comprehensive health insurance is an absolute necessity. Your assets. You need homeowners or renters insurance to protect your home and your belongings. And you need auto insurance. A major lawsuit from a car accident could destroy everything you've worked for. Law number 2, buy broad coverage. Avoid narrow policies that only cover specific, scary-sounding events, like cancer insurance or flight insurance. What if you get heart disease instead of cancer? What if you get in a car accident on the way to the airport? You need broad policies, like comprehensive health insurance and life insurance, that cover you regardless of the cause. Law number 3, shop around and buy direct. Insurance prices for the exact same coverage can vary dramatically from one company to the next, and much of the insurance industry is driven by commissions. Agents have a powerful incentive to sell you more expensive and complex policies, because that's how they make more money. The author strongly recommends buying term life insurance, which is pure, simple, and inexpensive protection, and avoiding cash value life insurance, which combines insurance with a high-cost, low-return savings account. It's one of the most oversold products in the financial world. For all your insurance needs, you should get quotes from multiple companies. And whenever possible, look for companies that sell directly to the public, without a commissioned agent in the middle. This can save you a significant amount of money. And one final tip on insurance. Take the highest deductible you can comfortably afford. The deductible is the amount you pay out of pocket before the insurance kicks in. A higher deductible means you'll cover more of the small losses yourself, but it will dramatically lower your annual premium. Remember law number 1, you're insuring against catastrophe, not inconvenience. And so the picture is complete. You've taken control. You've faced the truth of your financial situation. You've learned to master your spending and live within your means. You've set meaningful goals that give your financial journey a purpose. You've harnessed the power of ownership through simple, low-cost, diversified investments. And you've built a shield of protection around everything you've worked for with smart, cost-effective insurance. The path isn't always easy. There will be temptations. There will be market downturns that test your resolve. There will be so-called experts who try to lure you off the path with promises of shortcuts and easy riches. But the principles in this book are your compass. They are timeless. They are proven. They are based on common sense. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be lucky. You just need a plan and the discipline to stick with it. The journey of 1,000 miles, as they say, begins with a single step. And you have everything you need to take that step right now. As we wrap up our journey through personal finance for dummies, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. What strikes me most about this book, after all these years, is its profound simplicity and its deep respect for the reader. In a world that often tries to make money seem impossibly complex, a secret language only accessible to the experts, Eric Tyson does the opposite. He pulls back the curtain and shows us that the core principles of financial success are available to everyone. The most powerful lesson, I believe, is the idea of empowerment. The book's central message is that you, not a broker, not a guru, not a hotshot money manager, are the person best equipped to manage your financial life. No one will ever care about your money as much as you do. And with a bit of education and a dose of common sense, you can do a better job than most of the so-called professionals, because you are free from the conflicts of interest that plague so much of the financial industry. This book isn't just a collection of tips and tricks, it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy of living intentionally. It teaches us to question the constant messages of consumer culture, to define wealth on our own terms, and to align our spending with our deepest values. It's a call to move from being a passive consumer, swept along by the currents of advertising and social pressure, to being a conscious creator of our own lives. The strategies themselves are not revolutionary. Live within your means. Avoid bad debt. Save for the future. Invest in diversified, low-cost funds for the long term. Protect yourself from catastrophe. These are the time-tested truths of building wealth. The magic of this book is that it makes them feel achievable. It breaks down each step into a manageable, understandable process, stripping away the fear and intimidation that so often paralyzes us when we think about money. So if you're a young person listening to this, what can you do, right now, to start this journey? I'll give you 3 simple actions. First, go to annualcreditreport.com and get your free credit report. It will take you 10 minutes. This is your first act of taking control. Know where you stand. Second, open a retirement account. If your employer offers a 401k, sign up today. If not, open a Roth IRA. You can do it online in less than 15 minutes. Set up an automatic transfer of just $25 or $50 a month. It's not about the amount. It's about starting the habit. It's about getting the magic of compounding to work for you as soon as possible. Third, start tracking your spending for just 1 week. Don't judge it, just track it. Use a notebook or a free app. This small act of awareness will open your eyes and be the first step towards consciously directing your money where you want it to go. That's it. Those 3 small steps can be the beginning of a whole new financial story for you. A story of control, of confidence, and ultimately, of freedom. That was a summary of Personal Finance for Dummies by Eric Tyson. We've certainly covered the main pillars today, but I hope you understand that a brief overview can only scratch the surface. The real power of a book like this comes from the quiet moments of connection you have with it. When a specific example or a simple turn of phrase resonates with your own life in a way you didn't expect. This summary is meant to be a map, to show you the landscape and help you decide if this is a journey you want to take. If any of the ideas we've discussed today have sparked something in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just an act of learning. It's an investment in yourself that can fundamentally change how you approach your life, one smart decision at a time. A link to the book is in the show notes. Also, if you've found this journey valuable, it would mean the world to us if you'd take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to our channel. It helps us reach more people who, just like you, are looking to grow and learn. We have many more life-changing books from the Billionaire's Bookshelf to explore together, and we wouldn't want you to miss a thing. Let's continue this journey of growth together.